Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course, my pleasure.
Oh, that's the poster. I didn't get to see it yet.
That's
Very
right. I got Jane with me in this apartment. It's very nice.
nice. Man, I gotta tell you, I've been such a big fan of yours, and you're probably gonna laugh at this since this movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Rock me, sexy Jesus,
Rock
Rock
Me
me, sexy
Sexy
Jesus.
Jesus.
all night long.
That's right. That's
Uh,
one of my favorite movies, actually. That's my first movie, but it's a favorite for sure. I was just texting the director literally yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome. I would
Yeah.
love to see you do another one of movies like that. I mean, it's just so tongue in cheek, such great stuff.
Yeah, I love straight up comedies. Like that's my favorite thing to do, to work on. Like when you're just like the whole goal of the day and the film is to just laugh as much as possible. Working with Steve Coogan was also insane. The guy is a machine, and but the thing is, he's like constantly trying to make scenes funnier, and like constantly, like, if he respects you, which I was lucky enough to get in that good graces, he's just all of a sudden like, Skylar, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Like in between, like, just like workshopping things, writing things on napkins, and like is really special. Taught me a lot.
Oh my God, but some of the songs on this movie would never be able to be made today now, right? Like, I mean, there's a song about In the Face that would
Yeah.
never happen.
Yeah, exactly. But that was when like irreverence and saying those shocking thing was like okay. I mean, the guys that wrote the music were the guys that worked on the South Park movies.
I know. Oh, it's so great. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank
That's
you.
how long I've been a fan. I know everyone's like Pitch Perfect or something else, but I'm like, nah, Hamilton too. There you go.
Yeah, I like the deep cuts. I appreciate them.
All right. So I wanted to just start off with a basic question before we jump into the Zoey's playlist world. As an actor, you've got to do something that I feel so many actors haven't been able to do. And it kind of ties back into Hamlet too. And that, of course, is be in musicals, whether it's Pitch Perfect or, hey, another show I love, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, or Zoey's. Why do you think the musical genre has suddenly become popular again? Because for a long time, Hollywood, we saw like maybe one a year, and now we're kind of having TV shows and there's musical episodes of pretty much everything. Why do you think it's become so popular?
Well, I remember with like movies like Pitch Perfect, it was this thing of and Glee as well,
Oh,
where
yeah,
like
Glee.
they really were a part of the joke, and they didn't take themselves too seriously and beat their chest too much with it. So there's like a lot of opportunity for comedy within the musical genre. And then when it comes to just good old wholesome musical comedies or just musicals, people love it, and I think that people are more unafraid to love it these days, especially now with like things like a pandemic. People are like unafraid to feel joy. It's no longer cool to be looking down on things that are happy, and things that make you feel something a little differently than and now with the wealth of content, whether it's with movies or television, I think people are looking into different genres, or maybe genres that have been around but need to be revisited, like musicals.
Yeah, no, I listen. I'm so happy because I'm a musical guy myself. I grew up on the East Coast, New Jersey, went to, Broadway as much as I could growing up. And when I started working over there, I got to go I remember the time when Broadway was dying, that period
Mhm.
after 9/11, where you can get
Mhm.
a ticket to any show for like 30 or $40.
I remember there was a big effort to bring back Broadway then, and now there's a bit of one as well post pandemic. But then it was a really suffering time, like economically especially, and now I feel like people are really starving for live theater.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, it's escape, right? I mean, like as much as we talk about like movies and people returning to movie theaters, there's nothing like going to a live theater performance. You can't recreate that on a TV screen at all.
I couldn't agree more.
So, all right. So Zoey's Extraordinary Christmas. We know that there was so much fan support for this. I was part of it. So many people, I run the Hollywood Critics Organization. So we were big supporters of this show from pretty much day one.
I have your award right in my.
I'm curious, what has it been like for you to experience so much fan support for something that you've been a part of?
It means a lot. And I think we honestly owe this entire movie to the fans, not only because they've been so loyal throughout the series, but they're the actual reason why this movie is being done in the first place. Of course, we needed Roku to be the heroes that they were and put it on the Roku channel. But they wouldn't have had that initiative or thought if it wasn't for an overwhelming amount of support from the fans who found us during a time in much need of escapism and healing and grief. And I think that we really did that for audiences. And so when we got canceled, I was really bummed, as any actor is, but I was more so really upset for the fans because they really invested in this story.
Yeah. I mean, it was when you get to the end of season 2 and you have that great reveal at the end, and then you're like, canceled. You're like, what? Like, what am I going to do now? Like, there's so many shows that end abruptly, but like that was like probably one of the worst cliffhangers to ever end on. So I'm glad we got this to cover some bases.
Yeah. And by the way, like, we weren't taking anything for granted, but like we really weren't anticipating that being it, or else we probably wouldn't have left our audiences hanging so much. I mean, every show kind of tries to come up with a creative way to kind of influence the business people to make more, but that wasn't why that was done. That was just where our story was headed, and headed fast.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about Austin. I got to interview him earlier in the year. Great guy. We were just going on. And, obviously he did a Broadway show First Day, which I told him I loved. And we just got talking all about Broadway in the show. But what was the experience like working with him? And, for those who may not be familiar with this and may be catching this movie for the first time, by the way, I want to say something real quick. I love the fact that in 1 minute in the beginning of the movie, you can pretty much know exactly what happened and like not have ever watched any of the show. It's great. But Can you talk about working with Austin as a collaborator and what makes him so special to work with?
Well, Austin is an absolute wealth of talent as a writer and as a creator. He has so much empathy and cares so much for the characters that he writes. And he also cares a lot about the people playing those characters. I met with him for the pilot of this, and we hit it off immediately. We both went to the same theater camp growing up, so we immediately had a bond, and he's now become a dear friend. But I would absolutely love to work with him in the future, whether it's in more Zoey's movies or on a new show. He really writes from his heart, and this was a bit of an exercise, a coping mechanism for him in losing his father. And he's just like, you could feel his heart on the page. You could feel his humor on the page, and more specifically, Max's character, Zoey's character, and even David's character. I think that like those three characters are an amalgamation of Austin as a person. And, also a major testament to his ability to be able to churn a movie script out in like a couple weeks. That's crazy. I mean, we're really grateful to Roku for giving us this opportunity, but it also took the execution of doing it. And obviously the actors have it under control, and our entire crew knows how the beast works, but he had to write a full-on movie, and that's impressive. Yet I think the reason why Lionsgate and Roku trusted him with that, because they've seen his work throughout the series and they know he could kind of do it.
Kind of jumping off that, I know he turned the script around really quickly. I feel like this movie came together very quickly. How quick was the shoot?
It was as fast as people witnessed in real time through articles and announcements. I mean, you didn't really find out much later than we did. It came together really fast, but The actual making of it was a timeline we're fairly used to. We used to have 8 days an episode to shoot, and I think the movie we had like 16 days. So it kind of timed out like as if we were doing a 2-episode special. I know Team Dance had a huge order, having there be 13 songs in this one, and they didn't have as much time to prep. We didn't really have as much time to rehearse, but we still made it happen. We always find a way. That's what happens when you have a bunch of thoroughbreds in the cast, but also in the creative team.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you pulled off, and I mean, it looks great. My wife is such a big fan of this. I watched part of it because I didn't want to watch the whole thing because she wants to experience it with me. So I watched part of it just to kind of prep for this. But I mean, the musical numbers and the mall scene, of course, in the beginning, I mean, I think that's just such great content. And the Roku taking a chance on this is phenomenal. But what was the biggest challenge? I know we always talk about musical numbers. Which musical number was the biggest challenge in this film?
I think probably for them, it might have been that mall sequence. That was a big one, because I think the most wonderful time of the year with Alex. I wasn't there on the day, but I know Austin said it's maybe the biggest thing we've done. And I think it was all done in one shot, which is crazy. If you actually look back at it and watch it again, you'll see there's no cutting points. And we tend to do that a lot on this show, which it's a big swing and there's a big reward. I mean, we did a 6+ minute oneer in American Pie in season 1.
I loved it.
Yeah. And we tend to do that really whenever necessary. I mean, the only time we break it up is only if we need it for storytelling purposes, to do proper coverage and close-ups and turnarounds and to really be able to like explain the story. But if not, if it's just Zoey in the room, then we're going to basically put the camera on a steady cam and just do it full out.
No, it's amazing. I mean, I talked to Mandy too, and I mean the amount of depth she went into in our conversation about that, especially that one episode, the I Stopped the World and Melt with You. Like, I mean, it's just amazing how much detail goes into that, and the dance numbers and how many people were involved. So, I mean, kudos to all of you for being so committed to this project.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much thought that goes into it. There's so much care that goes into it. People really care a lot about making this good. I mean, Austin, literally, this whole story comes from his heart, but Mandy is one of the hardest workers and biggest perfectionists I've known, yet she is so open to collaboration, and she's so open to shifting and changing and molding these moves and movements to the humans doing it. It's like some of my fondest memories are doing that work with Team Dance.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I'll ask you 2 more questions and I'll let you go because I know you got a lot of interviews to do today. What is your favorite song that you performed during this whole thing? Not just this movie, but pretty much the whole thing.
It's tough. It's tough to mention one. A sequence that really jumps out to me is the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game, I'll Make Love to You" moment like this sequence, where I'm kind of battling myself in my own songs. I just thought that was like a really great one-act play, really, it was a full act of television. So he really let it breathe. And I really thought that was quite a gift. So as far as like individual or duet, that would be my choice. I really liked "Numb" because it stretched me in the movement category. "New York State of Mind" means a lot to me because that's a song I've sung for years in many different arenas. And then as far as truly being a part of a sequence that is bigger than me, American Pie.
Okay.
Because it took every member of our crew and every member of the cast to show that passage of time within one take, and to just kind of everyone hit their marks and know their why and hit zero.
I have to tell you something. You mentioned "Numb," and me personally, I think that was the strongest song you ever performed.
Thank
And,
you.
and I don't know, I don't like talking about personal stuff, but I know you went through some personal stuff. And me and my wife both watched that, and we were like, whoa, like he pulled some pain there when he was
Yeah.
performing this song. I mean, you felt that. You
Yeah.
felt that. You really put yourself into that.
I appreciate that. I mean, they give me a gift when they give me these songs, so it's like the least I could do.
Yeah. And then the last question for you for today. So I hope that we get a season out of this after this comes out, but we'll be happy if we get the movie. If you were only able to continue to do this as movies, what would be the next holiday themed movie you would want to do, and why?
I would want to do Zoe's Extraordinary Vacation, because we would get to film it in an exotic location, hopefully like Fiji or Hawaii. I also think that it would be very fun to take these characters that we've grown to love and take them completely out of their houses, especially since the sets have been torn down and can easily be recreated. But why not? Why not start from scratch? And beyond that, I think that there should be a wedding. I think that there should be births or pregnancies. So maybe Zoe's Extraordinary Labor Day, but different kind of Labor Day. So we'll see.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Of course, my pleasure. I look forward to it.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Take care.